Hello, welcome back to Film Freaks, and today I am reviewing The Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd. It's probably my favorite album of all time. Um, about maybe a month ago, I would have said like Demon Days would be my favorite, but this one is definitely like my favorite. Um, yeah, so this will be just a review of like the remaster vinyl edition and a review of the album itself. I'll just start off with like the packaging and everything. Um, so first off, I really like the feel of this album cover. Kind of feels like the Endless River album cover, like it's smooth. Um, I don't know, it's good, but the only negative is it smudges up really easily, as I don't know if you can see, but there's already so many smudges on here, all over the place. So I'm just gonna wipe maybe a towel over there. Maybe that will help. But yeah, I really like the feel, the texture of this album cover. It's good, and the colors are really bright as well. Opens up like this. You have the lyrics to all the songs that do have lyrics, and then the track listing above and the credits as well. And when I bought this, I was wondering why it was so expensive. It was like 30 bucks or something, and I was thinking like I'm gonna be disappointed if it's like just the record for 30 bucks, but it actually comes with a lot of inserts. So I'm not gonna show you the posters because they're really delicate. The folds are really sharp. But it comes with two posters and two postcard-sized stickers, which is really cool. So that comes in this sleeve here. Yeah, and then the spine doesn't say anything; it just says the line there. Stereo. I don't think there is a mono version of this. If there was, that would be awful sounding, because stereo is definitely needed for this album. Yeah. Backside, yeah, is like that. Here's the vinyl. Comes in a black sleeve here. Yeah, looks like this. It's nice. It's thick. I think it's 180 gram, something like that. I don't know. Usually remastered stuff today is 180 gram because vinyl is kind of coming back and more people want higher quality records. I hope CDs come back someday though, because I love CDs so much. Alright, so I'm going to set this down for a minute. I'm going to start with track 1, side 1, Speak to Me, which is just an intro. It's not really a song. I mean, technically, yeah, it is a song, but it's just an intro. It's the heartbeat and everything. It just kind of shows you what you're about to hear, you know, because it has the cash register sounds, and then it has the vocals from Claire Torrey, I think is her name, from Great Gig in the Sky. Yeah, there's not much to say about it. I'm probably gonna review each track out of 10, but I'm not gonna review the intro because that's an intro and I can't really do that. Anyway, song 2, Breathe in the Air. Actually, it might just be called Breathe. I don't know. Oh, it is called Breathe in the Air because it says breathe and then in the air in parentheses. Written by Waters Gilmore and Richard Wright. Richard Wright is my favorite out of them. But yeah, Breathe in the Air is a really good song, actually. I really like the slide guitar. It feels very dreamy, but it's a very short song, which I don't like, because I like the song a lot. Anyway, I would give Breathe in the Air a good 7 out of 10. It's not perfect, because it could be longer, but it's a pretty good song otherwise. Number 3, On the Run by Gilmore and Waters. I always thought it was just written by Roger Waters, but apparently it was written by David Gilmour and Roger Waters. This is probably my least favorite song in the album besides Speak to Me. Just because it's not that entertaining, and it doesn't sound that great in my opinion. It's definitely ahead of its time, which I give it that, and I'm sure if I were to hear it in 1973, it would sound amazing and like mind-blowing. But now it's just kind of it's kind of like an interlude, but it's 3.5 minutes. Yeah, it's okay. I actually used to really like the song when I was little. I don't know why, but now I just don't find it that amusing. I would give that song a 5 out of 10. The next song is Time. Yeah, I really like this song a lot. I hear it on the radio, though, a lot of times. Not as much as Money, but I do hear it quite often. So that kind of messes up the vibe of the album, kind of. But it's not that big of a deal. Yeah, it's a really great song. I love the guitar. It's probably some of my favorite guitar solos on any song ever, because it's just amazing. And I like how there's like the David Gilmour section, and then there's the Rick Wright section. There's, I don't know. Yeah, I think it was written by all of the 4 band members, including Nick Mason. Actually, it says his name here. I'll show you. Yeah, his name is actually listed first on who wrote the song. I don't know. You probably can't see. It doesn't focus very well. But it says written by Mason, Waters, Wright, and Gilmour. And usually whoever is listed first wrote most of the song. I don't know. That's interesting. I would give that song an 8 out of 10. The next song, The Great Gig in the Sky, which is potentially my favorite song ever. I also really like Shine On You Crazy Diamond and Echoes and Fear by Kendrick Lamar. But this might be my favorite song of all time. Yeah, like I said, vocals by Claire Torrey, but no actual lyrics, which is interesting. Yeah, the instrumentation on this, like the piano and the drums and everything, just hits so hard and then gets super soft at the end. Kind of reminds me of, the song, there's a song called Me and Your Mama by Childish Gambino. It's not very similar, but similar in that, like, it's hardcore, and it's going crazy, and then all of a sudden it just drops and then goes really smooth and slow for the rest of the song. Yeah, not much more I can say about it, but 10 out of 10, my opinion. Then you go to side 2, and it starts off with Money. And I actually prefer side 1 over side 2, but side 2 is still amazing. But yeah, Money comes, and I hear this all the time, so it's not that amazing to me anymore. I'm pretty tired of the vocal part, but the instrumental, like with the saxophone solo, and then all of the just crazy like instrumentation, is I think some of the best music ever written. It's just crazy. Yeah, I really like the bass line when it's like the instrumental. It's like doom 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 doom. It's like, I don't know. It's like that. It's pretty cool. Yeah, since I've heard it so much, I would probably give it a 7.8 out of 10. Then the next song, Us and Them, is really good. The only criticism I have with that is that maybe it could be cut in half because it's a bit long, but it is really good. I've drummed to that song many times. In my drum lessons, I always drum to that song. But yeah, it's a really great song. I think it's sung by Rick Wright, written by Waters and Wright. Yeah. Also, not much I can really say about this song. It's just kind of a typical slow song. The chorus builds up and then gets really energetic and then goes back down to a really quiet and soft verse. It's a beautiful song. It's really good. But I would give it a 7 out of 10. I give a lot of things 7 out of 10. I don't know why. I just feel like that's kind of like the, like, yeah. A 7 out of 10, like a 7 out of 10, in my opinion, is like a A. And then like a 6 out of 10 is like a B. 5 out of 10 is like a C. 4 is D. And 3 and under is like an F. And then like a 8 out of 10 is like an A plus. And then like a 9 out of 10 is like crazy, like insane, and then 10 out of 10 is like, this is like the best song ever. Anyway, Any Color You Like is the next song. I believe it's the only song in the album that is not written by Roger Waters, which is interesting, and I actually love this song a lot. One of my favorites on the album. I like the transition between this one and then Brain Damage. Yeah, the drums in this song, though, I kind of feel are a little messy. Like they kind of like trip over each other a little bit. Like it kind of sounds like Nick Mason is like half awake, like just like kind of sloppily like going over the drums. But that's my only criticism with the song. Everything else, like the synthesizers, are really cool sounding. Also, another criticism, I guess, is that it's the only song in the album that I feel like isn't timeless. Like, you can obviously tell it's a 70s song. Like, it sounds very 70s-ish. And most of the other songs, I mean, it doesn't have a specific time sounding to it. And then like Animals would be probably my second favorite Pink Floyd album, but the reason why it's not in my top 3 is because it doesn't really sound timeless. It sounds very 70s and at some points cliche to that time period, and yeah. Anyway, back to Dark Side of the Moon. Then I would rate that song a 8 out of 10. Brain Damage. It's the next song. And I like this song a lot. Love it. Yeah, again, I like the synthesizers in this song. It's really cool. And I don't know, the song feels very powerful and just a lot of effort went into it. It's a great closure, well, almost closure to the album. Well, it blends with the other song, so pretty much it's like a closure to the album. But it's great closure and sums up the album and its themes. I would give that song an 8 out of 10. And then the final song, Eclipse, which is a short little song. I think it's like 2 minutes, but normally it would actually be like a minute long, but there's like a minute of like the heartbeat, you know, at the end of the song. Yeah, this is probably my third favorite song on the album, or second. Yeah, I like this song a lot, and I think Roger Waters' vocals actually on these last 2 songs are superior. Like, they're really good in comparison to like The Wall, which his vocals are awful in my opinion. I think they're terrible. It should have been David Gilmour or Rick Wright singing all of those songs. I mean, on certain points, his voice makes sense for the song, but most of the time, it's not good. But on Dark Side of the Moon, these last 2 songs, his voice fits perfectly with the tone of the album, because you haven't heard his voice throughout the whole album, except for this last 4 minutes of the album. But yeah, I just love this song a lot. So I would give Eclipse a 9 out of 10, and that concludes my review for The Dark Side of the Moon remaster. I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter that it's a remaster. Yeah, and like since I've been reviewing some of my favorite albums, like Demon Days, I had reviewed, and then this one, which are like both my favorite albums, I'm gonna give this one a 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. Usually I'd probably be a lot harsher with albums, but since I'm doing this, since it's like my favorite album, I should give it a 10 out of 10. I can't remember what I said for the Now. I think I said a 5 out of 10. Anyway, I keep for the Now, it keeps getting worse and worse for me. Like I'm at the point now where this album is like terrible, and they should have never made it. And when it first came out, I was like, oh, this is pretty good. Like this might be like. At one point I was even like, this is better than Plastic Beach. Like I was like, this is so good. And now it's like, this is the worst album of the year. They should never have made it. I regret buying it on CD and vinyl. Well, maybe I like having it in vinyl, actually. That way I can have the whole collection. But on CD anyways. I bought it on CD. And I don't know why. Actually, I think when I reviewed the album, I might have given it a 6. If I were to review the album now, I would give it a 3.5 out of 10. Yeah, just a little update on my review for the Now by Gorillaz. Anyway, Dark Side of the Mood, Dark Side of the Moon, not Mood. 10 out of 10 for me. Perfect album.